Righty then. What's everybody doing this morning? And I do apologize, gentlemen, but somebody left their cup of coffee here, and when I pulled it, this cord hit, went over here and got all over the couch. Yeah. Yeah, it'll dry, and hopefully that'll get better. We do have a few minutes that I'm gonna take up. I was watching what they already had on there. I'm just watching yeah. Thank God. Keep working, see if we ain't gonna have it. Huh? Keep working, we ain't gonna have it. Yep. Let's do that. Huh? Let's do that. Get back in. Wow. I might knock out the whole first one. I might knock out the whole first one. Yeah. I'm working. Like, I can see it. What's that size over? Around. I get you're at HFC, right? Get that. What glasses then?
Everybody seen a pair of peepers?
Pair of what?
Reading glasses.
Peepers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like well now. How?
I'm a big.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Look, this is a fairly good little study we're going to do this morning. If you brought something else to read in group, put it up. We don't do that. Yes, put it up. That's not what we're studying this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to study what we got on the board. So if you brought something with you to group, We're not studying anything strange.
Everybody seen a pair of glasses?
I did. There was a pair of glasses up here somewhere. They might have got knocked off when that got knocked off, but I don't know where they went. So we have a sign-in sheet going around. Please sign the sign-in sheet. Make sure that it is legible so that we can see it. You found them? So that we can make sure that we know, who's getting credit for the class this morning. Make sure you sign it on the right sheet. Some people are HHSC, some people are TAP. So just sign it on the right one, and it'll work. And I'll be over there to the north to pick that up in just a little, after group this morning. We're going to be doing the roadmap to recovery.
Yay!
And it's a pretty good study. I like it, and I have been saying just about every morning that I know the folks over at North can't see it very well, but that's not really all that true, because when we're doing the stuff on the video, when I'm not doing it, I can see it pretty well. So perhaps you can see this pretty well, because we are going to be we're going to be using the board quite a bit this morning, so I want you to be able to see it well. So I'm hoping that you can see that fairly well.
You know what page that's on in our book?
Say that again.
What page is that on in our book?
I don't think it's in your book.
Oh, okay.
No, this is my own stuff. I did all this. I came up with this years ago.
Okay.
So this is my own stuff. Today you do supposed to have your book with you in group. You didn't bring your book to group? Why not? Go get it.
We can take notes, all right? No, you can take notes too.
So say it again.
You can take notes in our.
Oh yeah, you can take notes as long as you're taking notes on the study. One of the things this week is about family stuff. You don't like the group people?
Oh man.
Okay. All right.
I just don't feel.
Well, we're going to change up group here going forward anyway. We're going to get rid of the table.
Yay!
And we're going to make a big old circle and have our group like that at some point. I'm not going to do it today because, we started already. So one of the things that we have when we start working with our group, with our family, is when we go out and use drugs and alcohol, and when we use drugs and alcohol, we're not in our right mind. We've come to a place where we are, when we use drugs and alcohol, what does the big book say? Help us to get away from that stuff, help us to get away from the insanity that using drugs and alcohol is, help us to get back to a place of sanity. So we do some insane stuff, and a lot of times that causes our family to not want to be involved with us. I still have family members who are done with me. They got done with me 30 years ago. And over the 30-year period, that's perfectly all right. We can always use a little entertainment in the morning. Somebody's dying in group. It's pretty entertaining. So we can get to a place where we have folks just don't want to fool with us anymore, and that's okay. And sometimes we cross over a line, and unfortunately, in my own personal life, I have crossed over a couple of lines down through there in the past that my family members, some of them, not all of them, but some of them have not yet forgiven me for crossing that line. And okay, I knew it was a line. I knew I shouldn't have crossed it when I crossed it way back then in those days, and so I'm having to pay the price for that now. So a lot of the times, when it comes to our family, after we're getting into a place where we're trying to get ourselves right and we're trying to get ourselves back into recovery and all of that kind of stuff, we come to a place that's called estranged. What does estranged mean? Estranged means I'm just separated from them in some form or some fashion. You have multiple family estrangements. And I have that. Just not where it should be. Broken relationships that may be in various stages of turmoil. You know, I've told you guys several times that my brother and I just started speaking again. You know, we just started speaking. I crossed one of those major lines with him, big old red. I crossed that line, and I crossed that line 30 years ago. You know, it was a long time ago. Sometimes it takes a long time to get that stuff back to where you need it, right? Back to where you can have that family relationship. So, you know, it took a long time, but we're now talking a little bit. I sent him a little something for Christmas. He called me and talked to me about Christmas, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And so that relationship is not as estranged as it used to be. But there are still people in my family that, okay, I still have those issues with. And they're never going to be, we're never going to be right. I know that. You know, at this point in time. Now, they can be. I'm in my recovery, been in my recovery for many years, and I'm ready to get my family back together and have a big old family reunion and just, you know, and we have done that back about 10 years ago. They had a family reunion, and those people, because I was there, they didn't come. That's kind of sad, isn't it? And you would think, man, you ought to be able to let that go, right? You ought to be able to just get past all of that. There's some stuff, and y'all know what I'm talking about. There's some stuff that people find it sometimes really, really hard to get past. And so here's, you know, we might stay estranged. You are actively involving, or you're actively avoiding or are in direct conflict with more than one family member, trusted friend, or partner. Now, look, I'm not actively avoiding anybody in my family, but I have people in my family who are actively avoiding me. So that's a bad thing. So we want to get beyond that as far as our family members are concerned. However, you know, we got to make sure that we do that in a proper way. Some of my family members that I am estranged from are still in their addiction. And I have made the choice that Uncle Eddie, I don't want to fool with anymore. Because I know that today it's a little after 8 o'clock. Nope, it's a little after 9 o'clock. But a little after 8 o'clock, Uncle Ed's probably already on the way. Yeah, I got nothing for that. You know, I mean, that lifestyle is nothing that I want to do. So we're beyond all that. So this morning, we're going to be talking about the goal of our group is to learn a little bit more about how to stay on the roadmap for recovery. There is a place that we need to be going. We need to be on a journey to get ourselves into recovery, and once we get into recovery, to stay there. So the very first thing you have to do to get into recovery is what? Admit that you're powerless. He said, what else? Somebody else have a different idea?
Be clean.
Get clean.
Change the people, places, and things.
Change people, places, and things. All of those things are true, but yeah, that's it. See, over here, this is where our recovery starts. We have to stop using. We have to stop whatever it is we use. If it's alcohol, methamphetamines, cocaine, marijuana, whatever it is, we have to stop. At some point, we have to say, okay, that's enough, I quit, right? What happens when you quit? Withdrawal. Yeah, got some crap start happening in our life. So right here at the stop thing, we start having some withdrawal, and we need to get through that. And look, here when we're in withdrawal, when we first enter withdrawal, what's the best way to stop withdrawal? Detox. That's never stopped withdrawal in my life. But what stops withdrawal? What's the best thing to stop withdrawal? Say it again.
To get back on it.
To get back on the drug that we were using. If I'm in deep distress and I'm in withdrawal, I'm having a real bad day, The best way for me to get away from that is to use my drug of choice, and it'll get me right back out of that withdrawal immediately. That's not what I want to do. I want to get to a place where I am not a slave to whatever I'm a slave to. I want to change my God. My God is my God, and that thing is trying to take the place of my God. And I don't want that to happen. So me using that drug is not something I want to do. I want to get beyond that. Now, here's the deal. When we first get into it, we have this issue with withdrawal. Somebody already said detox. One of the things that we have when we get into withdrawal is physical detoxification. What does that mean, even? If I'm in detox, what does that mean?
Your body's dependent.
Say it again?
Your body's dependent upon that stuff.
Your body is dependent upon whatever drug it is, and I have to, my body is toxified. I'm toxic. There are toxic chemicals in my body. That's why we don't drink. How many people here know that you should not drink Drano? Drano's not good for it. Thank you. You're the only one. Everybody else is doing, well, I might try it at one time. Yeah. I don't know. It's good. I don't know how it makes me feel to drink dry. It won't make you feel good. There was a guy that was going to kill himself, and he decided to do so by drinking Drano. And he drank one of those whole little bottles of Drano. Glug, 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 glug. About the time he got it down, he took off running out of his front door, screaming and yelling until he passed out there. They took him to the hospital, and they removed his stomach, his esophagus. All of this stuff has to come out. They took his small intestine, and they ran it on the outside of his skeletal system back down into his what's called your anal sphincter, which is what opens up to allow you to poop. And so nowadays, and I saw him on a video years ago, he may be dead by now, he has to eat 15, 20 times a day because he has no stomach. So it goes in, and he has to push it down because the muscles of that would normally, you have muscles in there that runs your food down into your stomach. They're gone, so he has to eat it and then push it down. That's why they had to put it on the outside of his sternum and all of that, and he pushes it down like that, and then it'll get down here somewhere, and it'll turn into poop, and he'll have to push it on out. Now, yeah, you know, and he made the statement, it probably would have been better had I died. Well, that's what he was trying to do, but I was good. See, there are things that if you use that, it's going to do all that kind of crazy mess to us. Now, here's the other thing, the stuff that we do use, the alcohol, the methamphetamines, the cocaine, the cigarettes, all of that kind of stuff that we use, it's doing the same thing to us, but it's just doing it on a slower process. So all of this stuff that we put into our body is killing us. So it is toxic to our bodies. And so that's what detoxification means. I need to get the toxic stuff out of my body. Miss Cynthia, we had one guy that didn't have his book. He went back to get it, but he never came back. So we need him to get his book, come back to the group. So we need to get this toxic stuff out of our body. So that's what detox is.
What about large amounts of sugar on a daily basis?
Large amounts of sugar is another thing we need to detox from. I had to detox from that, and look, sugar is more addicting than cocaine. So we need to we need to get all of this stuff out of our system. So that's what detox is about. That's the first thing we have to do is detox. Get ourselves so we got all of this stuff out of our system. Once all of this stuff is out of our system, we can begin to make some other plans. You had a question?
Yeah, I'm the best.
Why did he drink the Drano? Because he's an idiot. He wanted to kill himself. He thought, and look, it would have. He drank the Drano to die. He was trying to poison himself. It would have killed him, but he ran out, and it was in the middle of the wintertime, 20, 25 years, I don't know when it was, but he ran out and fell off into the snow. And some of his neighbors saw it happen, called the ambulance, and the EMTs came. They saved his life. it's not worth nearly what it was before he did all of that.
Yeah,
So-
the reason I asked is because I heard most people say clean.
It's Drano.
I'm just saying clean. No, I'm just saying.
Well, Drano is designed to clean out clogged
Toilets.
toilets and yeah, drain lines and stuff like that. It is not meant to clean out people. It is a deadly caustic poison. So if you put it in your body, it's going to kill you. So
It smokes when it.
it's what? What'd you
I
say?
said it smokes in the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does smoke when you put it in the drain because it's a caustic acid. It's bad stuff. Anyway, don't drink Drano. Just don't do that. So when you're in withdrawal, there's a few things that's going to happen to us, and they're not fun. They're not fun. We would think once we got through the withdrawal and we got past all of that stuff, we wouldn't go back and use the drug so that we would have to go back through that situation again. Because first we have that physical detoxification, and during that time we have some severe cravings. You know, I've had people in my office, more than one person in my office, telling me how badly they wanted to use. I'm at that same place in my life. I need to, you know, well, that still runs through my mind. I know what if I went and had a drink of vodka, I know what it would do. I know exactly what it would do. And, you know, but I also know that if I went and had a drink of vodka, it'd probably be all over for me. I'd be gone. You know, so we have a lot of deep depression after we're fighting that craving and stuff. So we'll get depressed when we're in the middle of a detoxification or middle of withdrawal. We get way depressed sometimes, and because of all the cravings. Here's the thing: there's something I really want, right? I really, but I know I can't have it. What does that lead me to? Depression. It's going to lead me to depression. It's going to lead me to anxiety. It's going to lead me to all sorts of things. So that's what's going to happen. We're not going to have much energy. We're going to feel like crap. When we get into withdrawal, we're going to feel nasty. That's, and look, here's the thing. If we're in withdrawal, that should tell us this is something we don't want to do. When I put this drug in my system, it causes me to feel like that. So I should not want to put it back in my system because I know anything that's going to make me feel like that is something that's not really good for me to have in my system, right? We should be able to get to that and say, okay, that's enough. Well, we do the same thing with nicotine. Every couple of hours, I gotta have it. We have no power, no authority, no nothing. And I know that if I use it, you're leaving us, you're gone. We don't want him to miss any of it. Yeah.
Can you detox without medication?
I can't hear you if I can't see you.
Can you detox without medication?
Can you detox without medication? Absolutely. Just stop using. You will detox.
Right.
If you don't use, you will detox. 90% of people who detox do so without any kind of medication. We don't give you any medication in here when you come in and need to detox. You just do. Now there is medication that you can use for most drugs, not all drugs. Cocaine, there is no protocol for detoxing from cocaine. I used to work for Centacor, and that's all we did was detox people. And we'd bring them in, and people on cocaine that needed detoxing, we put them in bed, give them a couple of shots of vitamin B12, and they just slip it off. Take 2 or 3 days, and they come out and they're pretty good. Every other drug has a detox protocol.
Even meth.
Is there a healthy food or drink to use to
help you detox?
Yeah.
I don't know. Detox is just usually when I went through detox, I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't eat anything, probably for a week. I didn't eat. I didn't want to eat anything. It would, of course, be good for you to eat good, healthy foods. That's going to always help you Don't eat your good healthy foods in group, of course, but that would help you to get through detox. But we are going to have look, and here's another thing: we can get into irritability. I've had some people in here, trying to run through a little bit of detox, trying to get to feeling better and everything, and they're snappy. That's understandable, right? We can get irritable because we're feeling like crap, and so it's easy for me to get irritable. Now, after a week or 2 weeks in treatment, you ought not be like that. At some point, you ought to get to the place where you can follow the rules and you can do what you're supposed to do without being a butthead about it. There should be that place. We should be looking forward to that. That may not be detox. That may be just your personality. That may be just who you are. And if it is, okay, there's not all we can do for you. So we are going to do it. Look, you're also going to be exhausted. You're getting in, going through withdrawals, getting out of that portion of the roadmap is exhausting. You're not sleeping well. You're not eating well. You're not getting enough exercise. You're not doing things that you should normally be doing. So you're exhausted with whatever it is you're doing.
Maybe you still want to get high.
Say it again.
Maybe they still want to get high.
Of course they still want to get high. Have you ever gone through withdrawal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they come looking for you to see if you have a little something that we could use. Of course we want to get high. Of course we do. Everybody that's ever been through withdrawal, we just talked about it. You were napping at the time, but we just talked about it. The best way to get past the withdrawal, what my body is screaming for, what my limbic system is telling me I cannot live without, is whatever drug that got me in this fix. So we want to use, but we're not going to. So we have some insomnia. That means we're not sleeping well. And then we have something that's called disordered thinking. In our program here, we look at distorted thinking. But one of the things that we have is disordered thinking when we're in our.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is distorted thinking means that when I'm thinking about something, I'm thinking about it in the wrong way. That's distorted thinking. I'm thinking about it incorrectly. But disordered thinking is that I'm thinking about stuff out of order. I should be thinking about, I need to go into my life and I need to have a job and I need to have all of this kind of stuff. But disordered thinking tells me that what I need to do first is get some of my drugs.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's disordered. Because if I do that, all of the things I know that I need to do, I can be able to do.
It's like having unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations. Yes, sir.
Does it take time for your body to release endorphins on its own?
Yeah, it does, because you know what? We have destroyed that system. We've messed that system up, especially if you use something like cocaine. It destroys all of your receptors, and you're at a place where you can't get any good feelings out of anything. Even the drug doesn't give you a good feeling. So, yeah, it takes a minute for your systems to come back online, right? To get to where you need it. So we have disordered thinking, and at the same time, we're going to have some memory problems. It messes our memory up a little bit. People suffering from severe withdrawal should be sued. Now, listen, this is something that makes us a little upset sometimes, but as when we're in withdrawal, we should be viewed as having an acute psychiatric condition. What does the big book say? Help us get out of this insanity, right? So acute psychiatric condition, that's pretty bad for us. Medical problems such as seizure, infections, cardiovascular problems can happen, weight loss, vitamin deficiencies, all sorts of stuff. So we need to understand that, look, we're going to go through some crap in order to get into recovery. I've had so many people talk to me, that were in withdrawal and all of that stuff. I can't stand it. Yes, you can. over a period of time, that's going to go away. I've had people tell me, this isn't fair. Yes, it is.
I want to get out.
You did it. So if you did it, then it's fair that we have to face the consequences of doing it. Right?
Can you even get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm feeling suicidal?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people feel suicidal. We lose some people doing the withdrawal, but this thing is temporary. We just need to know. And committing suicide, we've always said that that's a permanent solution to a temporary issue,
That's right.
whatever it is. I've talked to so many people, because I'm a complicated grief counselor therapist, and so I've talked to so many people who've had that. And life ain't worth living. Well, no, not right now, but give it a couple of days. I've talked to people who are going to commit suicide because their loved one left them. Okay, run off with another person or so. Okay, that's just not worth that. Because if you do that, that other person's going to grieve. Maybe 10 minutes, and then that's over with. They've moved on. So you're not doing anybody any damage other than yourself. So we need to make sure that's not some place we even consider.
Right.
You're worth more. You're worth more than that. So once we've gotten through that, we need to know that, hey, this stuff, it's going to happen to us if we're using some type of mood-altering drug. We become addicted to that drug, and then we stop using that drug, then we're going to have to go through withdrawal. We're going to have to go through detoxification and all of that kind of stuff. The second thing we need to do, we are in our recovery and we're making a little bit of a move down this roadmap in our recovery. And the first thing we need to do is, what's this? Okay, I didn't, no, that's not wall. The red one over there is wall. This one is a structure. Yeah. This is a structure board where we're going to write down, we're going to get some structure going on in our. Why do we need structure?
It helps
chaos.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So the mind is important.
Yes, it reminds us of what we need to do, all of that kind of stuff. And when we're out using our drugs, the only structure we have is, where am I going to get my next use? Where am I going to get my next fix? Where am I going to get my next bottle? Where am I going to get there's no structure there. So this is one reason that we yell all the time about coming to group on time, trying to stay awake in group. Mr. Sam, trying to stay awake in group. If you can't stay awake in group, you might as well stay in your room. We don't want that to happen. We want you to be awake in group. So all of that is because if you get a job when you get out of here, which you should, that's part of structure. Getting a job is part of structure. You're not going to go to that job and go to sleep, are you? No. And if you work for me, and I have some people who work for me, you're not going to come to work late. What? How many people in here are habitually late? You're late all the time. Nobody? That's a good thing. I run into tons and tons of people who are habitually late. And what do you think that is?
No structure.
They don't have any structure. They can be irresponsible. But we have searched it out, and it shows us that those people have a hidden anger issue. And they're taking out, they don't really know why they're angry. Most of the time, they don't even know that they are angry. But they're taking out their anger issues on the people that they work for, or the people that they live with, or whoever they're showing up late to.
So pretty much not happy in their life.
Yeah, so that, and so we deal with the anger issue, and suddenly they can be punctual. So here's the deal: we have to have when we come up with a structure board. You really actually need to write this down on something. You need to get you a piece of paper, write out your structure. This has to be structure that you did yourself. I can write a structure board that's going to fill up. It's going to be great. It's going to keep you on track. It's going to keep you doing what you're supposed to be doing. And guess what's going to happen to that structure? It's going in the first garbage can that you run past, because If it's not yours, then it doesn't mean that much to you. If it's something that I've done, then it doesn't mean all that much to you. But if it's something that you've come up with yourself, then you will more than likely follow that structure board. What would you put on your structure board? Somebody give me an example.
Wake up, pray, make your bed, meditate,
Meditate.
Coffee.
exercise.
Make a meeting.
Okay. All right, let's look at some of these. Meditate, all of that is good stuff. So we're going to meditate a little
Meditate,
bit.
hydrate.
We're going to get up and do all of the stuff like that, being hydrated and all of that kind of stuff. What else? What would you put on your structure board?
Exercise.
Exercise. Exercise is a good one. We're going to put some exercise on here.
Shower.
What would you put on your structure board? Proper rest. Get some sleep.
Bed on time.
So what would you put on your structure board, Mr. Sam?
Make some meetings.
Make some meetings.
Yes.
That's really good. That's on here. Get some treatment program. Make some meetings. So what would you put on your structure board?
Stay around other people.
Positive people. Have some people in your life. Positive people. What would you put on your structure board?
Hygiene.
Put some hygiene. Yeah, that kind of goes without saying. Hygiene on there.
Anybody want it?
That one.
Yes, sir. That's it.
And paying bills.
Paying bills. Yeah, get a job.
I got a job.
Just clean
Get a job.
size. Ego size.
Anything else?
Yeah, I know that's right.
Not gonna do that. I was gonna let that bother me, but yeah, I'm not gonna.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can't let that
Pray,
bother
yeah.
me. Disrupt the whole
Pray.
group. He took the thing and he didn't just take the thing. He left with it. So
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Choose not to be angry.
no, I'll talk to my boss about
Then
it.
you'll be mad, make it work.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm gonna have to let that. Come on,
What you say, Dave?
come on. Yes, sir.
All we have is a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So maintenance.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good stuff. I'm thinking. Look, let's go to church. Let's do some spiritual stuff from time to time. What else? What would you put on your structure board? You don't know. Okay, what would you put on yours? Yes.
Hit your knees, pray in the morning.
Okay, praying in the morning. What would you put on your structure board?
Keeping up with your
Keeping up with your doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Yeah, that's good stuff. Keep up with your appointments. Yes, sir. What would you put on your?
I would definitely pray.
Okay, that's just one. What would you put on your structure board?
go to work on time.
Go to work on time. Being at work. Okay, we did put a job, but be there on time.
Prepare for that job.
Get prepared for it.
Like it is.
What would you?
Yeah, mine would pay my bills. You know,
Pay your bills?
You know, I mean, like going through your checking account daily, making sure,
Right.
Sure, right.
What would you?
Prepare for my job.
Just prepare for your job.
Ahead of time.
Okay. What would you do? What would you put on your structure board? What would you put on your structure board? Be prepared.
Eat before work.
Eat
Before work.
before work. Eat before work. Okay. Well, there's a couple of things. Yeah, you guys. All of those things are you know, really good things. But there's a couple of things we did put. One of them is to schedule some family time, some family events. Absolutely, man. You've been in group for half an hour. You can't possibly. Mr. Q, you see, you gave that coat to that man. He's a big group.
Oh,
He's
man.
gone. So thank you. And then the other one is island building. What does island building mean? Island building. You know the old adage that no man can be an island? Is that true? Not necessarily. We need to be an island in some instances. We need to get ourselves fixed. Well, look, this is my sphere right here, and there are people who are not allowed there. Yeah, we need to have time for ourselves. And my old friends, my old people, my old places, and my old things don't have a place there. They can't come in there. They can't do that. So, that makes me a little bit of an island builder, right? That doesn't mean I don't let people in. That doesn't mean that I don't get with other people, because we know we need people. But what we don't need is the wrong people.
Like making sure you can rely on only yourself.
Yeah, making sure that you can rely on yourself, which is a big deal, but also making sure that you can rely on the people that you allow into your sphere of influence to not be people who are going to try to pull you to the wrong places. There's some people, there's some people that we just don't need to be fooled with. Yeah, we don't need to be, there's some people we don't need in our life. And the people we don't need in our lives, guess what? We don't need those people in our life. So at some point, we need to be a little bit of an island builder. I need to be somebody that can say, I don't need this person in my life.
Not right now.
Say it again?
Not right now.
Well, I don't know. There's people I don't ever need in my life. That friend of mine who is a user, I don't ever need that person in my life. I don't want that person. If you say not right now, that means at some other time in your life you're going to bring that person back into your life. And you don't want to do that. That person is using drugs, that person is around drugs, or you have used drugs with that person in the past. Now, that person may not ever use drugs around you again. You may not ever have an opportunity to use drugs with that person again, but just that person is a trigger for you to use drugs.
Yeah, so y'all can't get healthy together?
No. That is a fallacy. We're going to get healthy together. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're both going to trigger the other one to you. Hey, healthy? That's not healthy. What is that? That's a good excuse for bad behavior. When people say, you shouldn't hang out with those, I'm going to help him get sober too. I'm going to help her get sober too. We're going to get healthy together. That's a good excuse for bad behavior, because when you're told don't hang around with those people, you can't do that anymore, you go and do that, and you use that excuse, I'm helping him. No, you're not. You can't help him. That's why we say if you're going to get a sponsor, that person needs to have at least 3 years in sobriety. Somebody got sober last week. Somebody's been sober for at least 3 years, and preferably more than that. You don't want anybody to come in. I don't want some. And if you're going to go over there and help somebody that, look, you got out of treatment, you're in recovery. They got out of treatment, they're in recovery, and you're going to help one. That's not going to happen like that. Yes.
Y'all can give me a dope being woman.
Some people will be removed from the group after today. So there are things that you need on your schedule. And look, see, how many people in here full grown? Full grown. If you want to go out and do something like that, you go ahead on. You're a full-grown man. If you want to do something like that, you do that. But when you do that, that's the end of your recovery.
Right.
So that's what you did last time, and it didn't work. So if you want to do that again, then do that.
That's what I want you to say.
So on the road cap, there are going to be some problems and some things that we're going to have with our scheduling. When we start putting together a schedule, there's going to be some things that's going to hit us in the head. First thing is unrealistic scheduling. If you tell somebody I'm going to put on my schedule that I'm going to go to AA groups 15 times a week, you're going to do that?
No.
Probably not. Now I do know people who go every day, sometimes more than once a day. I have a guy. He used to be my friend, but I have a guy that I know. His name is Michael. He's at an AA meeting right now. Right now.
My sponsor goes twice a day.
Yeah,
3 times, like he's about 5 times a day.
right. And so that's, in my opinion, that's overdoing it.
But
You know,
he got
you can
the-
overdo anything.
Mhm.
You
That's
know,
his way of saying
but if
clean.
that's what you need to stay sober,
Yeah.
that's a real sad thing if you cannot stay sober, you know, without going to AA 5 times a day. I don't want a sponsor who has to go to AA 5 times a day because he has not got it. Oh, he has not got it together. He's hanging on by, you know, that's what you call white knuckling it. He's just living at the AA place. That's not good. I want to be there when I need to be there, but I don't want to live there.
He got 33 years clean though, Doc.
Saying he spent
How many years? Huh? How many years? He got 33 years clean.
Oh yeah, you know, you don't want somebody. You look. You want to, if you're going to get a sponsor, you need to have a sponsor that's at least 3 years into their recovery because they know what worked for them to keep them sober for 3 years. I know people that's in their recovery for 3 years and 4 years, and I would not have them as a sponsor because they're not there yet. You know, but I would rather have somebody. Look, there's people out there who've been in their recovery for 10 years. They know how to do something. Does that mean they're not going to relapse?
No.
No. I know people who relapsed after 30 years.
Right.
The way it was explained to me in AA was you want to be looking for people that have the quality time. Okay, so there's someone that's got 40 years but they're miserable. They talk about the same thing every day. You don't want that guy as a sponsor.
That's really
you
good.
want somebody that is actually doing the deal. And
That's really good. Somebody that's healing. Yeah, that's really good. He was saying that you want somebody that has quality time. If you've got somebody that's 3 or 4 years, if they're miserable, if they're white knuckling it, you don't want that person. You want somebody. If you got a sponsor that's going to AA 5 times a day, you don't want that person because they don't have it. They ain't learned it yet. You know, all they can do is hang out with, you know, at the AA place.
I like what Mr. Kentucky said about that. And then I would add also somebody you see what you want. You know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the story, the same kind of, if not the same story, but the same piece that happened is the spirituality.
Yeah, you see somebody in quality, like you said, in quality recovery. Another thing that we have an issue with when we're making our scheduling is neglecting balance. Like this guy here that's going to AA 5 days a week, he's neglecting balance. He doesn't have any balance in his life. All he does is live at the AA house.
But he got 33 years clean, Doc.
Well, that's fine. He's still, if he's had to be 32 years and staying in the AA group 5 days a week, 5 hours every, you know, I mean, he must be totally stinking miserable. Yeah, you know, and look, we always talk about the outliers as well. Maybe he has the most fulfilling life he can have. I don't see that as fulfilling at all. I love AA. My group is wonderful. I love the AA group. And we go there and we have birthdays together and we have good times together. We go to the beach and have sober stuff that we do from time to time. And it's just wonderful. And it's all, but I don't want to live with those people. I don't go home with them. I'm not going to stay with them all of the time. So he is neglecting balance. He has no balance. If you're there 5 days a week, all day long, you have no time to be with your family, with your church, with other people. You don't have all of that time. And like you were saying, somebody that has a quality time to be able to impart quality. He's not imparting anything but go to AA, go to AA, go to AA, stay in AA, go to AA. You know, that's not balance. You need to have a balanced time. Be in AA. How often should you go to AA? How often?
5 times.
You ought to.
For me personally, I gotta go once a day.
Okay, he's going once a day.
I don't think that's just like for everybody, but some people actually get some
Enjoy. Whenever you
enjoyment, pleasure, comfort that they need, and maybe that sense of helping another.
You go as often as you need to go.
need.
You go as often as you need to go. I have, there are times when I wake up and I say, I need to go to group So I'm gonna go to group. My group is open at 4 in the morning. So I'm gonna go to group. It's at the local Catholic church, and it's open all the time. And so I'm gonna go. If I feel like I need to go to group, I'm gonna go to group. Sometimes when I feel like, man, I don't need to go to group at all. I hadn't been to group in a week, and I don't need to go. That's when I'm gonna go because I know that something is sneaking in on me. But if I'm feeling like I need to be there 5 days a week, 5 times a day, then something ain't right. Something ain't clicking. Something is not maturing. Something is not getting where I need to go. But if you need to go 5 times a day, then go 5 times a day. At some point, I think you should get to the place where you don't have to go. Yes, sir.
They got some place that used to call 24-hour club.
Yeah.
But it's open 24 hours. I used to go to that, and it lasts all day, it's playing down.
Sure. That's the way ours is. So here's another thing. Go ahead.
I want to say, actually, how much knowledge does it take? Maybe that's why you go 5 days.
I don't know. I wouldn't know why somebody's going. I think they're just, when I see somebody that's going 5 days a week, 5 times a day, I see somebody who's on the verge of panic. All of the time. I see somebody who's hanging on. They call white knuckling. I see somebody that's just hanging on. And even if he's got, I know a guy, I don't know somebody that's had that long, but I do know a guy that has 4 years, and he's just like that. And he's always, okay, you're not going to make it. I've made it 4 years, man. I'm 4 years. Okay. And if you spend the rest of your life like that, what a sad thing. That's sad. Why not? Yeah. You can't wait 10 minutes. Good. Where you going? What's that? So here's the deal. We don't want an imposed schedule either. What does that mean? What does it mean? Yeah, I want to come up with my own schedule. I don't want somebody to impose a schedule for me. I had a fella tell me that his sister had made him a really good schedule. Is that good? No, that's no. You don't want your sister scheduling you a good deal. You don't want your sponsor making you a good schedule. You got to do your own schedule. Yes.
You gotta be at least open to suggestions.
Oh yeah, and that's a good point too. It's okay to take suggestions from other people, but don't let them make your schedule and tell you that you have to do that schedule. It won't work like that. Yes.
My last one was a guy at California Cisco, talking about sponsorship, suggestions. Said alcoholic or addict, alcohol direction can't stay sober.
Say that again.
Any alcoholic or addict can't follow direction, can't stay sober.
Well, and that's a good point. He said any alcoholic or addict that can't follow directions can't stay sober. And we talk about that. But having somebody else to impose your schedule on you is not following directions. Okay. That's not following directions. You need to have your own schedule.
Do you believe that?
Absolutely, I believe it. Believe that if you can't follow directions, you can't.
Simple directions from sponsors.
Sure. You got to get directions from a whole lot of people while you're in your recovery.
Yeah, on the roadmap.
Sure.
And another thing is, I don't know about you guys, but I've met a lot of alcoholics and addicts. We're terrible rebels, and we're probably not going to do it unless we do it ourselves.
Sure. And here's the deal. Just like he said, we're rebels. We're still pirates. And so we're going to get out there and do all of this kind of stuff because that's what we want to do. Yeah. So anyway, look, we're sticking way too long on this. Here's one of the other things that's bad, and that is non-involvement of significant other. Now, we already said your significant other cannot impose their schedule on you, but they need to be involved in your schedule. You don't need to come up and say, this is my schedule, and you are not part of that. You can't do that. They need to be, if there's somebody in your life going to be a significant person in your life, they need some involvement in your life, and they need some involvement in your recovery. They need to be part of that. Now, if that person is using, they can't help you. They can't be part of your recovery. So you need to have somebody in your life that's not a user, not an abuser, not somebody that's using drugs. So the other thing that's a little bit weird is holidays, illnesses, and other changes. We need to have a schedule that can be a bit fluid. It's a bit fluid. I'm not going to go do this. I'm not going to go do that. I'm going to do this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to AA 5 days a week, 5 times a day. Well, wait a minute. It's Christmas. Okay, so maybe I'm going to do Christmas with my family this weekend, or I'm going to do Thanksgiving with my family, or it's my mom's birthday, so I'm not going to be over at the AA place 5 times today because it's Mother's birthday, and we're going to do. So it has to be a little. Look, have you ever gotten up and just felt crappy?
Yeah.
Ew. And I'm talking about not because of drugs. I've gotten up and, y'all know the last couple of months my stomach's been killing me. It's still doing that today. Wednesday, I get to go and get it checked out. But when I'm feeling really, really bad, there's sometimes if you wake up in the morning, you take the little test and you've got the COVID. What does it say? It's on that commercial. It says, when it's COVID, Paxlovid. It doesn't say when it's COVID, I'm going to AA meeting. And keep your butt to the house. There are times when you can't go, So our schedule has to be a slave to our lives, and our lives not a slave to our schedule. I got to go here because it's on here if it kills everybody in Southeast Texas. No. We got to do it the right way. So there are some times in this withdrawal stage and all of that kind of stuff that will cause us to relapse, and we need to understand that when we're making our schedule and all of that kind of stuff. One of the big things is unstructured time. If I don't have anything to do, I might do something. If I don't have anything to do today that opens me up for doing something I really shouldn't be doing, right? If I don't have anything to do, I don't need any unstructured time. Is it okay to have some downtime where I'm sitting watching a movie or something like that?
Hell yeah.
It is. It's okay to have some time like that, but I don't need to have any unstructured time. When I say, okay, I'm going to sit down over here, I'm going to take 2 hours, I'm going to have a couple of cups of coffee, and I'm going to watch a movie, I need to have the coffee ready. I need to know what movie I'm going to watch, and I need to do that.
That's right.
Even that needs to be structured. So we need not to have any unstructured time. Proximity of triggers. What does that mean? What does proximity mean?
Closeness.
What is it?
The amount of space, like how close you are.
Yeah, just get close some.
Could having too much structure be stressful?
Of course, having too much structure could be stressful. So that's why we need to make sure that the structure is one that we can deal with, right? But one of the things that messes up our structure, messes up our recovery, is the proximity to triggers. That's why we say this. What is the universal triggers? What is that triggers that's going to bother everybody?
Stress.
People, places, and things. And see what he said was stress, because we don't listen. And we say, well, stress. There's people in here say women. Over at the other side, there's people say men. And it's always been the same thing. And for the last year and a half, I've been teaching the same thing. It's people, places, and things. That's the universal trigger. So when we tell you don't go, and see already, no. If we go out back to the same people, we are putting ourselves close to our triggers.
Right.
So proximity to our triggers is going to get you every time.
Yes, sir.
So that's why, look, and I have people, I talked to a guy just the other day, called me up, and he had relapsed completely relapsed. So, and he had just sat in here a week before and talked about how wonderful the program was and how he'd gotten new stuff and all. Then he called me and said, why did you relapse? Well, I went out with this girl I used to know.
Damn.
Okay. Old people. We went to this club. And she wanted to go to this club. Okay, old places. And we started we got into a dance contest on old things, people, places, and things. You ain't got sense. God gave an eighth butt, Bubba. If you're going to do it, even though here's the thing, we're always looking for good excuses for bad behavior. And so this thing where somebody says, "No, you can't look. You can't." It's not a good idea. It's an absolute. You can't go back to old people, old places, old things, and expect to stay in your recovery. And it goes right in this ear, out that ear, because the very first thing, the old people that we used to use drugs with are the ones that pick us up to give us a ride back to the house. Y'all know who Hollywood Henderson is?
Yeah.
Yeah, used to be a real linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. Just a real good guy. He's in his recovery. He was a cocaine freak. He went to treatment a bunch of times. He got out of treatment, and he had these people come pick him up, and they'd always bring him a little something to make him feel better. So how long was he in recovery? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. How long does it take you to get out of here, walk out front, get in the car? That's how long he was in recovery. And they bring him a blunt or something like that, and he said, well, marijuana ain't going to bother me. And before the end of the day, he's got some cocaine. And so this is the only man I know who won the lottery twice. Hollywood Henderson won the lottery twice. So, yeah, that was some pretty good stuff, So, proximity to trigger. Here's another thing that'll get us. Using something that's not what we're addicted to. If we think, well, hey, you know what? I use meth, I use cocaine or something else, but, we use a little bit we have a beer, we have some alcohol, we have a little bit of just a little joint or something. You can't do that. Yeah, there's a thing called cross addiction. You can't do that. We're going to have some powerful cravings. Paranoia is going to come in. Everybody's out to get me. Depression is going to set in. All of these things can make us use disordered stuff. Now, here's one that's really, really gets a lot of people, and we don't have time to deal with it effectively, so we'll do it when we get back after break. And so let's take a 15-minute break, or we'll get back about 15 minutes after.
Yo, before everybody walk off, who was with my sausage this weekend, bro? All my sausages are gone. Please be free sauce. So my Christmas said, you see somebody, let me know. All my sausages are gone. Got 2 packs of them. Top to who? Anybody see them? So what, they would disappear? Come on, smash in the sausage. That's fucked up, man. All my sausages are gone. That's fucked up, bro. All my sausages are gone. I got 2 packs of them. Links. Not like a whole body. Links. Bullshit, bro. No. Sounded good though. I like sausages.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir. Okay. Alright. It's the eyes that get me every time. How can you look like that? Man, how can you know that? I'm looking at you. But I know what I'm doing with your own eyes. You're in the picture. I'm out the picture. Not that. You get it. One more time. You sir.
Yeah, so
See. One more day. Breathe. Go in and start what I do like. Yes, ma'am. What am I with you? Living here? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. They have convinced me this is not me. Good, I'm up for that.
And you take my knife. Especially gonna
My
be
bad.
saying stuff. Especially gonna be saying stuff.
God, God already provided. And that's what I will provide. So, yeah, He provided me as a vessel. He will back
Well, I know it's gonna be good. I'm just saying you got a lot of that. But maybe other people find their lives here.
Man, y'all me. That's good. Hey, that's good. I mean, we also I'm not working for when I want to stay here. No, sir. I like my piece of money. Show me like 3 minutes. Sir, oh, shit. He know. I do. What is it? He has one everybody around here in Georgetown Road. He made everybody else goes rough. Rough? Yeah. By choice. Yeah, see? Nice by choice. I stay with that choice on my dome until I wake up. He's got punish today. Kick him, sit him in the corner. Take my belt off and walk like a Yankees. Come sit their ass off. One good time. Pull up, there session.
Pull up.
Back. There you go. There you go. Back dress. There you go. Matter of fact, give me a letter 5 years from now. Yeah. They have to be yeah. Can't get one right now.
If you write me from prison, I'm not right back.
You know what? No, we'll lift you up, right? Yeah, that's why I want to do it. All right, man. That's why I want to do it. That'd be cool. Like, oh, just gotta say, see, I'm doing it. That's all I have. Every now and then you pick me up. Yeah, every now. You know, this is Friday. Dude. How about Sunday? Last Friday you picked up today? No, I don't want to pick up right now. Maybe later. Okay, you said Friday. I like that. Right. Facts. You never depends on where I'm at. I can afford stuff. Here you go. It's like Forrest Gump. You never know what you're gonna get. Life's lost chocolates. Somewhat, but look, yeah, right back. You know, it's like when you're 2%. Yeah, would you like to be picked up? Right back. Hey. Yeah. There's a differential there. It's like when you work for somebody, no limit stop. Or no stop. Well, yeah, I don't know about that word, but just know there's a limit to everything. Not everybody's gonna work with it. There you go. There you go. Yes. You got it. Stop. You definitely got it, bud. I'm getting it. You got it. I'm getting it. No, you got it. I got it right now. Yes. A lot of stuff we have, we already have it. Yeah, open. Yeah. Yeah. And then twice. Yeah. Surrender. Yeah. Just surrender. Yeah. You know what they are.
Cease fighting anyone or anything.
Yeah. Show up. Show yourself.
Somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't just call them.
Just like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's better. That's better. That's what that's like.
Don't tell me to stop.
Okay.
One thing I do not like I told him that I buy some sausage back. I ain't gonna buy no 8 packs of them. I ain't gonna sell real cushions.
Well, shit.
I ain't gonna buy no 8 packs of sausage. That brother is my mama too.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You ain't know the shit.
I ain't gonna buy. That woman ain't coming out of the pussy fast.
I hate that word y'all. Georgia is by itself. Okay? I ain't no y'all in Georgia.
And then look. We ain't got no Kool-Aid.
There you go.
We ain't got nothing to drink.
There you go.
We ought to be complaining.
That's a long saying. Y'all, I don't like that word y'all. Right.
I ain't no Kool-Aid in the world.
I'm getting it. See, I'm getting it.
Gee, I keep Kool-Aid in the world. That's a lot.
I did that. I said I made an eye steak.
I keep it.
I made an eye steak. I said I didn't have them.
If I needed some, I would have sold. You need the pack. You need the pack. You don't want Kool-Aid. You open the Kool-Aid for it.
All I knew was before.
Yeah, you know. I didn't know. Big boy, the Kool-Aid on the go. You dirty.
Get down, where are we there?
How you doing, big boy? Jacket. You that dog. You got Kool-Aid on you?
I can't do it. Hey.
I'm just saying, nah, so let's not act like everything is going so good. Like, what I told you.
They got cigarettes. Don't get them cigarettes.
Let's not act like everything was going so well. There's been days we didn't have no Kool-Aid. There's been days, man. You ain't get them all? I ain't get them all.
That's what I'm saying. They
got cigarettes. Put them in there.
Everything ain't coming. Shit been on lunch and everything. And everything's on.
Doubling down.
I guarantee you that. I put my money on that.
But I can't complain.
I ain't even that.
Oh man. I'm gonna stop.
Me, I had everything. I know why I had everything. Because my time was on the ladder to take yeah. I had everything out there. You know why? Because they had everything. And I'm on the ladder to take us. They had B! I need you, B. Gotta go back put on that. Oh, you can get up. I gotta go pick up more.
Next month.
You just said that for 2 weeks.
I just sprayed my shit.
You do?
Every time I put my phone,
Okay.
my bad, you know, that smoke smell.
Oh,
My
yeah.
bad, yeah, that's all right. I didn't say it's stinks.
No,
Yeah, you did.
I just get started.
Yeah, no.
But it's no, it's
I'm just smoking girl and I'm not
second.
But I don't know if they go and they
It's worse than smoking, actually smoking.
So I find
That's
the one time.
Okay, that's true.
Damn.
I hate you. Nah,
You're in England.
personally, yeah. But we've been in, that's healthier than somebody smoking.
No, second and third.
Oh, now it's just
Yeah. So
That's a truck, that's
what we count.
It's beautiful. But the thing is, the wrong way. I was
I mean,
You're okay. I'm saying, I just smoked for a while. But then you notice when you ain't smoking, when you smell it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, same shit.
Yeah.
You sure about it.
That lets me know, like, when I was getting my brushes,
I remember because I was in middle school,
thinking I'm like,
one of the teachers used to smoke and it was.
for real. I know.
Yeah.
I know that. For real. It's smoke every man. Yeah.
look, that you know, so what time? So, all right, you know,
I read that from your phone. That's what I should have told you. I'm gonna go read the damn thing. So I'm just gonna read the damn thing. I'm glad that I'm holding on to. I appreciate it. I heard that. I like that jacket. I stay down. I stay down for a week. That's a smart boy. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was nice to hear. And that's part of what jackets. Gone with you. I'm always pretty sure. Yeah, all of them? All of them. No, I just thought that'd be a lot. One top, something. Okay. Well, but it's a lot cheaper. I got new cats here. We brought him big and something rare right here. We have. When they put stuff in my that's the only way my machine is trying to press it. I go and say, yeah, like that. I got two.
Cold out there.
Daydreaming this morning, I said,
Think you want to come back in?
I ain't gonna stop red water.
They keep us walking.
you know what? We ain't gonna talk about something. We ain't gonna say something.
Whose cup is that? That man left the water. Oh, yes.
Here's nothing about no sausage. This is nothing. Hey, the word sausage. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. How many?
All righty then.
I go on the guards.
15 minutes after. And so we're going to get back. This is one of the big places that we have a lot of issues with. We've gone through the withdrawal thing, and we've gone through attempting to put together a workable structure for us. Lots of people are lost in the next stop on the road map. And so this is we got our structure lined up. We're doing some stuff. We're going to group, going to church. We're making meetings. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We've probably got us a little job by now, and we're doing something on that. And then we come into the honeymoon phase of recovery. What's the honeymoon phase, you think?
When you think you got it all.
Oh, yeah. He said, well, you think you've got it all under control. Everything is peachy and everything is keen. So in this portion, yes, sir?
Wasn't the day both pink cloud?
Yeah, the pink cloud. Yeah, we'll get to that place where we're at the pink cloud. We're at the honeymoon stage. And this is, look, we lose a lot of people in this stage. Early abstinence features this, and it has some stuff. The very first thing that happens to us is we can become a little bit overconfident. I've had so many people tell me, I've got this. When they're walking, look, a lot of the times, look, when we're rocking people out, we have them stand up here and then they'll tell us, I've got this. No, you don't. Actually, this thing has got you. And so we need to understand that we don't need to get overconfident. When somebody's overconfident, what will they do?
Relax.
Right.
A lot of times they're going to relapse. A lot of times they're going to go places they shouldn't go.
They'll take risks.
They will take risk. They'll say, yes, I can.
I
can go to the, say it again.
They'll get complacent.
They'll get complacent. They'll go to the bar. They'll do, whatever they think they need to do. I had a guy tell me that, and this same guy that's got 4 years of recovery told me that, I still go to the bar. So, okay. That's, tells me that you're not going to make it forever. It's going to happen to you. If you keep poking at the bear, it will bite you. It will eat you. And it's going to, and look, I don't want to speak that over him. I hope he makes it the rest of his life sober, but I can't possibly see it happening because he's one of those guys that he's overconfident. He'll go there and he said, well, I just go there to play pool. Okay. It's not worth it going to an active bar to play pool. I'd never play another game of pool in my life. If that was you can buy your own pool table. There's lots of places where you can play pool. You don't have to go to the bar. I guess that's the easiest place to find one. So we become overconfident and we do things knowing that we shouldn't do it. Here's the deal. Most of the time, that's what happens to us with old people, places, and things. We get overconfident. We're telling ourselves, we've got this. I can go and hang out with Bubba. I know, look, I'm not going to use. And when I go over there to hang out with Bubba, I'm going to make sure he doesn't use either. That ain't going to work.
The thing, I bet you play pool good when everybody's drunk.
Yeah, everybody's drunk, you might play pool better. But, here's the deal. We are going to get overconfident. We're also going to have, it don't take much. It does not take much. This is wonderful. We also at the same place, I'm overconfident and I'm also having some difficulty concentrating. And so if I'm overconfident and I have difficulty concentrating, I'm going to be in the bar. I'm going to be somewhere doing something. I'm going to go over to somebody's house that's having a barbecue, and that person is having a barbecue. Oh, that's perfectly all right. Yeah, we want to put those back over there. The group can halt for a few moments, so we put the condiments back where the condiments go. Yeah, because I don't know what's going to happen.
I got it.
If you don't move those condiments, I don't know what's going to happen. Something cosmic, something horrible. So we have some difficulty concentrating. And then we're still, look, and when we're in this place over here, we're still going to have some memory problems. So one of the things that's going to be bugging us is that if, I can't remember that when I went out with that guy over there or went out with that girl over there, I used some of my drug of choice, and I can't really get that wrapped around my mind wrapped around that. So I'm going to go back over there and I'm going to wind up doing that again. So we're going to have, look, in this place we have some intense feeling. I'm overconfident and I have some intense feelings. What is an intense feeling gonna make me do?
Feelings are messed up.
Yeah, it's all messed up. Look, I know I need to see Bubba. Or I know I have this intense desire to see Bubette. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go see either one of those people. I'm going to look. I was told that I can't see those people, but I've got this. I'm not using it anymore. I'm done. I don't ever want to get back into that situation again, and so I'm just not going to do it. But I'm not going to follow all of the instructions. I'm not going to follow all of the suggestions of any of the counselors or anything, and I'm going to go back and get with that person. And so
another thing I've noticed, and I know this from experience, is in the honeymoon stage, you're no longer working the program, you're working your own program.
Yeah. And so look, this is what's going to work for me. I was working out one day, and there was this guy with muscles all over his body. I mean, this guy was one big muscle. There was this other little guy there. He's about my size, and he had a little bitty piece of weight, and he's just going to town, looking like 300 reps, And this big guy tells him, he said, look, if you will increase your weight and decrease your reps, you will grow muscle mass. And the guy looked at him, bowed himself up, and said, I'm going to do what I have discovered that works for me. And I'm looking at this guy, he weighs 120 pounds, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what you must have looked like before you started. So if this is working for you. So the big guy said, hopefully, left him alone. So this guy still, 10 years later, you go back to the gym, he's still got 20 pounds and he's still doing 300 reps. He ain't ever grown an inch. It's the same thing when we're doing what we want to do instead of what we know we should do. We're not gonna do too well at it. So we have these intense feelings. We also have mood swings. Sometimes I feel great, sometimes I don't. We also think that this is another place where we think that I'm super overconfident and I can drink a good cold beer if I want to because my drug of choice, methamphetamines, and that's going to get me by the yin yang. And then we in this area here, when we get to this place, we have a real hard time trying to prioritize things. We don't know what's the most important thing. The most important thing at this point in time is to stay sober. Anything that's going to threaten me, anything that's going to threaten my staying soberness, I don't need to do. If I think, if I do that activity, there's a 1% chance that I might slip, then I don't need to do that activity. Because I tell you, something that looks like a 1% chance is going to turn into a 100% chance when you get over there. So we can't do that very well. There's some triggers. Now y'all listen to these triggers. When we're in this place, there's some triggers, and we need to be cautious about these. And I know I'm going to tell you, and I know, look, I know that it's like if you've ever been at the water park, where the slide goes like that. It's like the slide goes here, goes in one ear, and goes out the other ear. I know that. I know I've been doing this too long. People, we say you can't go around old people. People are going to be a trigger for you in the honeymoon stage. Drug-using friends. You got to stay away from drug-using friends. You got to stay away from your old dealer. The guy's a dealer. You need to stay away from him. Away from her. You got to stay away from your old using friend.
He was a good guy.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
He was a good guy.
He was a good guy. Yeah, they're all good guys. Yeah, he'll let you have a little something when you don't even have anything to pay for it. I know that guy. Yeah, because if he lets you have a little something now, before long, You're going to avoid them your whole life. So, even, look, say it again. Yes, especially if I haven't seen you for a while and you're clean and all of that stuff. Yeah, you're a good target. Here's something we need to get a hold of. Even the voices of your old using friends will be a trigger for you.
Huh?
Just their voices. You can't talk to them on the telephone. There's going to be you have to get those people out of your life completely. They need to be gone. They don't need to be a part of your life. You don't need to call them up to see how they're doing, because their voice will trigger you, because their voice goes to that place in your limbic system that tells you who that person is. You identify that person. The moment you identify that person, you identify the fact that you used drugs with that person, and you will begin to be triggered to you.
Frequency is the only thing that enters your body without permission.
Say that again.
Frequency is the only thing that enters your body without permission. Sound, music.
Frequency is the only thing that enters your body without permission? Okay. Well, there's a couple other things, but that's good. That's good. So, here's the deal. One of the real big things is the absence of our significant other. I have had so many people. You can't tell me not to go back to I love him. I love him. That's my soulmate. Also, that person is using cocaine. Also, that person is a drug addict. And if that person doesn't want to get clean, then that person is not somebody you need to be around. Usually, even if that person gets clean, it's a better idea that you let that person go. I know that's hard, when you say that. People say, well, you can't tell me. I can't. But I can tell you that if you don't, you're gonna wind up using it again. It's almost, look, there's always an outlier. There's always that person who can, but it is almost impossible for you to stay clean while you're hanging out with somebody who's using it. You just can't do it. We've proven it 30,000 times. We prove it to ourselves. When we leave here, we'll go right back to the same people we were fooling with before we came here, and those people are going to get us high almost immediately. Statistics prove that. It's going to happen. In this group here, probably about 70% of us are not going to make it, because we're going to do exactly what we're told not to do. If we have lung cancer, we go to the doctor, and the doctor says, okay, you have lung cancer. You're going to die. The first thing you need to do, you can push it off a little bit, but you're going to die. You have stage 2 lung cancer. But if you'll stop smoking, what do we do on the way home?
Light one up.
Light one up, we'll get in the car. So we're not following advice that the doctor gives. Not following suggestions that the counselor. Not going to do that. So most of us are going to relapse. So, and it takes, look, this is why most of us get into recovery. That is a quality, staying recovery after the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th. I have a colleague who relapsed 23 times. Went to treatment 23 different times. One of the things I will tell you is that treatment facilities will allow you to come back as many times as you would like. There's money involved. And, that's not why we do it, but that's, there's money involved. And a lot of these facilities around here, that's the only reason they want you to come. I will tell you that this facility is not like that. There was a time when our bosses, we were all sitting there in a leadership meeting, and they said, hey, they're going to stop all of this funding. What are we going to do? And the decision was made in that meeting. We're going to pray about it and hang on. We're not kicking anybody anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. That's the day I said, okay, I'll stay here. Because we'll keep, we're not going to do all that stuff. A lot of the times, groups, one of the things that's a trigger is groups discussing drug use. I've had people come after the group, man, crap, the group today made me want to use. It can do that. Because we have a limbic system that keeps telling it, yes, you need to use. Yes, you're going to die if you don't use. So some of those things are going to do it. Drug dealers' house, bars and clubs, drug use neighborhoods. We know the neighborhoods. I know the neighborhoods. I go drive, stop at the stop sign, get sold 3 different things before I can get going. Freeway off ramps. Why would that be a trigger? A lot of times the off ramp is where the person is. Saw a guy the other day standing out there, will work for food. Got a bag behind him. Every now and then somebody pulls up over a little bit. He goes over there and talks to him. They giving him money, but they ain't giving it to him as they get a little something back. So work sites. This is a sad one, but a lot of times the work site can be a place that is a trigger because a lot of times we're using drugs on the work site, right? Yeah. Yeah, I used to have so many people. We had our own facility over in Baytown, and I had so many people coming from the plants because when they go do a tinkle test, they burn hot for all different types of stuff. Cocaine, there's a lot of it. But they also, what's that salve that you can put on yourself? What's it called?
Anxiety salve, you mean?
No, it's got THC in it.
They gave me some of my lawyer.
The lawyer gave you some of that?
Hey, you took it for me.
That stuff, look, it will show up as marijuana.
They gave me some and you took it.
Yeah. I didn't take it. I confiscated it, but I didn't take it. So a lot of street corners, man, you can't even go stand on a street corner. Paraphernalia, sexually explicit magazines, money, bank machines, music, some of the stuff y'all watch up here. Look, I'm going to start monitoring that a little bit. Our RA is going to start monitoring that a little bit. Some of the movies that we're watching here are not appropriate for a treatment facility, and they're going to be stopped. If the guys are using a whole bunch of drugs, explicit language, and all of that kind of stuff, that's not what we're here for. So we're going to stop all that. So when I come in and they're, like this young lady this morning, F this, F down, F this, no, okay, that's done. We're trying to learn how to be socially adept, not something like that. So we're gonna fix all that. Movies, TV shows about alcohol and other drugs. Y'all ever seen the movie Up in Smoke? Yeah, it's funny, but it's also a trigger. It is. Secondary alcohol or drug use. When we get out there because of cross addiction, you can't use anything. Some more triggers is times. We talk about times. Idle times, after work, periods of extended stress, payday. Payday is a big one. That's right. You know what? I don't ever have any money. If you need some money, don't come see me. I don't have any because and when I get paid at church, the treasurer of our church goes to my wife and hands her my paycheck from the church. I learned that because I'm an addict. I don't have money. Money makes. I know what I can do. $2 back when I was using $2.90 buy me a pint of rot gut vodka. So and that's a trigger for me. So I just don't have money. Friday night, Saturday night. Y'all know what I do on Friday night, Saturday night? It ain't important that you know what I do. I know what I do. There was a time I didn't remember Friday or Saturday, but I do now. I know exactly what I did last night. I went around, made sure all the water was dripping. I said a good prayer about keeping the lights on last night. I went to bed at 8:15 last night. I was under my bed with my head covered up trying to make the bed a little bit warmer. But, that's what I do. So Friday and Saturday night, a lot of the back when I was in the bars, and so don't do that anymore. Birthdays, anniversaries, all sorts of stuff like that. Then we have emotional states that'll make me want to use, anxiety, anger, frustration, sexual arousal, fatigue, boredom, sexual deprivation, gradually building emotional states with no expected relief. Stuff like that can make me want to use. And here's the deal. You have to go ahead.
So for me, the number one trigger for me was when things were going too good.
Yeah.
When promises started to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the pressure I was under was starting to become relieved. I no longer had the thumbs down on me to do the right thing, and it wasn't a good thing.
Yeah, so, yeah. When I
Sounds like everything's true.
say it again.
Sounds like everything's true.
Sounds like everything's
A trigger.
Yeah, just about everything can be a trigger. But I need to know. Look, everything can be a trigger. Anything and everything. We're talking about a trigger up here. We're talking about something, anything. But sometimes those triggers are bigger for some people than they are for other people. Yeah, I'm a people person. I love people. So people are a big trigger for me. Because I've got people in my life that I really, I would love to be able to go hang out with Charlie Webb. Charlie Webb, my best friend growing up. We were both greasers. Had our hair slicked back and wore the leather jackets and rode those little old bitty motorcycles. We were really tough. I rode a 90 Honda to school. Ding, 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 ding. But, when I got off that, I thought I was something bad, So, but we used all during that time together, too. So, Charlie, right now, Charlie's in law enforcement in Meridian, Mississippi. So, but I know where he is, what he's doing, but I don't go. I've seen him in the last 30 years once. And, I knew, hey, when I'm standing in his yard, he's on his front porch. They do this.
But he's not using anymore.
I don't know. I don't know. When I left from his sphere, he was using and using heavy. So I don't know now.
So
He's a private detective. Yeah, he's a private detective. But yeah, and police can use. Yeah. So yeah, so that police can use. So here's the deal. When we have a trigger, whatever the trigger is, when we run into one of these triggers, what does the trigger?
Mental obsession.
A mental obsession. Yeah. The trigger triggers the thought. And the thought triggers a craving. Makes me, I start thinking about it. Then I'm going to tell you this. I'll start thinking about one of my mental obsessions. I'll think about a honey bun. Okay. Honey buns have y'all ever eaten a honey bun? No. Those things aren't even good. And they're made out of crap. If you figure out what's in that honey bun, it's horrible. And if you're eating a honey bun, it tastes like it's got a little bit of a chalk or something in your mouth. It's just nasty, but it has sugar on it. So it's the sugar that I'm trying to get in. But if I think about that honey bun, after a while it becomes like an obsession. That thing is just there. It's just there. It's just there. And, so I have to do what I need to do to get rid of that thing, because the craving will eventually lead to use if I don't stop it. So we need to stop the thought. So what do? There are things that we can do to stop the thought. One thing is to do the urge surfing thing, where you know that in 8 minutes it's going to be over with. It's not going to last forever. I've had guys tell me, "Yeah, this ain't ever going away." No, you're not. That's not true. It's going to go away. So what is a trigger? So here, we've gone down here to Bob's place and all of this kind of stuff, and we know we shouldn't be there, but we wind up there because we're overconfident, all of that thing. And then something happens. So that something is a trigger. What's a trigger? What's the definition of a trigger? Y'all need to write this down. This is good stuff here.
Inspires you to use or relapse.
What is it again?
Something that inspires you to relapse.
That's a good way to say it. Something that inspires you to relapse. That's what it is. But a trigger is a stimulus which has been repeatedly associated with the preparation for, anticipation of, or the use of alcohol or other drugs. These stimuli include people, places, things, times of day, emotional states, and secondary drug use. So that's what a trigger is. You notice the first thing they said is people. Now look, y'all don't get offended. But I've had people come tell me, are you telling me I got to get rid of my old man? Maybe so. Maybe so. I had a guy tell me, I said, let's just talk about it. He said, well, I always get drunk. He had a couple of BUIs. You know what that is? BUI. Boating under the influence. Yeah, you can't drive a boat drunk neither. But he had gotten a few of those things, and he said, well, every time I get on my boat, then I use. I said, you see that as a problem? He said, I do, but I can't get rid of my boat. So why not? You know, there's hundreds of thousands of people in the United States that don't have boats. I used to have a 30-foot. I don't have a boat right now.
So you actually mean you can get a ticket for boat?
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll take you to jail. Yeah, you can't get drunk on a boat.
The sheriff department on the water too.
So, oh yeah, they do. Sheriff's department owns one, and they will come and they will get you.
They're on the water too.
So,
Yes, sheriff on the water.
there's some ways that we can stop that
Sheriff on the
desire.
water too.
Okay, we got it. We can stop that thought from moving to something else. Learn to recognize using thought. Learn to recognize when that starts coming into my mind, it's a setup for relapse. It's a setup for me to use again. Recognize it, know it. When this is over with, it's going to do that. Use visual imagery. Think of some good place. I have some places in my heart that I really like. I put them in my mind and I think about them when things are bad. One of them is Hexham, England. I spent quite a bit of time in Hexham, England. And I drove up into Scotland, and they have a place called the Borders. When you get the border between England and Scotland is way up on a mountain. And you drive way up there and you stop and you've got this big rock, this big old huge boulder, and it's got a split through it's not split, it's painted on. But on one side of that boulder is Scotland, the other side of that boulder is England. And, I just think about that. And you can stand up there and you can look, man, you can see for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And you look into Scotland and look into England, and it's just really. So, when those things start coming, I can go back into my mind and just think about all of that, have a good time. They're in Hexham is a border. It's not a border town. It's a market town. It's probably 40 miles from that point. And in Hexham, England, it's a market town, and they sell food and all of this stuff. But they have a whole bunch of those old red phone booths that you always see in the movies and stuff. And it's pretty neat. The one thing I didn't see there was a double-decker bus. Those are in the bigger cities, and Hexham's not like that. But learn to recognize them. Use some snapping. We talked about putting the rubber band on there. Snap that. That'll pull your mind back away from it. Do some relaxation exercises. Prayer. Prayer works for me. I will tell you this, a lot of the times I can pray and it doesn't work like I want it to work. I want to pray and ask God to remove it, boom, and it's gone. But a lot of times that doesn't happen, and then I have to remember what he told Paul. Paul said, pray, and God said, no, my grace is going to cover this. My grace is sufficient for you. And sometimes, I wish it wasn't. Call somebody. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. You got to call Ghostbusters.
You know what's coming up.
Yeah. Who you got to call? You got to call your sponsor. If you've got one who is, has at least 3 years of sobriety, who is the same sex as you are, who is willing to lead you to do what you need to do, who doesn't have to be in the AA group 5 times a day, 5 days a week.
Say
it again.
It seems like it makes sense from a person you can call this sponsor.
No, it's not. That's not the only person you can call. But that is somebody you can call as your sponsor. We should have also a sober support group. These are people who are not our sponsor, but they're sober.
Okay.
You know, they're sober. Right now, my little brother is sober. He's been sober for a while now. Can I call him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't be my sponsor. Why can't he be my sponsor? He's kin to me. He's my brother. He can't be my. You don't want a sponsor who loves you. You want a sponsor who knows what you need to do. You know, and
I tell you what you want to hear.
he's not going to tell you. My little brother might tell me what I need to hear, what I want to hear, instead of what I need to hear. So I want a sponsor who, you know, this is what I did to get sober. Now you do it, you know, and lead me through the 12 steps and do all of those kinds of things. So, but we can have as many people for sober support as we can get.
Yeah.
They can be both male and female. The only thing is they have to be sober.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask about. The brother be your trigger if you never got high with him, right?
Yeah.
The brother could also be your girl.
Well, your brother, look, here's the deal. If you did a lot of using with your brother, if you used with your brother all of the time when y'all were growing up and all of that kind of stuff, and every time you think of him or you see him, then that triggers you. Should he be part of your sober support?
No.
No, that would be goofy. Don't be goofy.
Sound like to me, you need to stay in the house and don't go nowhere.
Say it again.
Sound like to me, you need to stay in the house and don't go nowhere, because if you go fishing, you're gonna see somebody drink. You're gonna see somebody smoking.
You can't rush brother.
You go to the store, go past watch a wheel. You know, it just makes me
It's like walking on.
But it may be impossible for you. But for all of us who it's not impossible for, I can go fishing and never see anybody use alcohol or drugs. You know, if you're going to see somebody use alcohol or drugs when you go fishing, you got to know where they're using it and go there. Because 90% of the time when I go fishing and when I look at people, ain't nobody using any kind of drugs or alcohol out there. The only drug that I see used a lot is tobacco. They're smoking like crazy out there, especially in the summertime, try to keep the bugs off of them and stuff like that. You got to know where you have to go. When I go to the store, let me tell you something. When you go into Market Basket and you go down the aisle to Market Basket all the way down, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We don't fish on the bank.
Well,
and on the bank, you always gonna see somebody sitting on that cooler and pop a bill.
Not always.
That's what it meant by that.
That's not always. If you know if there's somebody there that's got a cooler full of beer and they're pulling it out and popping it, what should you do?
keep fishing.
Go somewhere else.
Or you could go somewhere else.
You go somewhere else. You find the spot. You find the spot where people aren't using. I'm going to tell you this, that not everybody that's fishing is using. Not everybody out there fishing is using. They're just not. We use that. Look, we use that as a good excuse for bad behavior.
I ain't saying
But now, what
it
we're
down.
saying is, like, when we in this area where we go fishing, we don't have boats. Most places we go fishing, people drinking.
Now, what should you do?
Like I said,
Don't go fishing. Now, look, when I go to Market Basket, if you go into Market Basket, you go this way and you go down to the end, there ain't nothing but alcohol and drugs down there. I mean, not drugs, but there's alcohol, there's beer, and there's wine and stuff like that. I don't go that way. When I go into Market Basket, I go this way. Now, there's fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. I go that way, and then I go down the end. If I need milk and stuff, that's over. I don't go through that. If you're going through that, you're doing that on purpose because you want to be triggered. And a lot of us want to be triggered because we need a good excuse for bad behavior. And we say, well, I couldn't help myself. You know, I went fishing and everybody was smoking dope. And I went to the store and you know, they got it everywhere. They don't. They have it in one little spot and you don't have to go to that little spot in the store. You go to H-E-B, it's there. But you got to go to the area where it is. Don't go there. Don't go there. Use what God gave you between your ears.
I know police go fishing and they drink. I mean, you can't run people, no. You don't have to be around it, but you could be 20 years clean or whatever, you gonna see it. You know, You live in Baytown. We live in Fort White. You go fishing in Fort White. Gamble. So you go gamble on an island. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you are.
But I'm saying I'm thinking.
Yeah, you are. If you get back to that place, but here's the deal. Look, I mean, we're coming up with an excuse. Here's the deal. If it's impossible for me to go fishing without being around somebody else using, then I'm not going fishing. You don't have to go fishing. Go get a dadgum job. You won't have time to go fishing all the time. Go find something else to do. You don't have to go fishing on. If there's people, look, I used to fish a bunch. I don't have time now. And every time I went fishing, I wasn't running into people who were using drugs and alcohol. But if you are, there's an excuse for that. There's a reason for that. Stay off the fish bank. If you're running into drugs and alcohol every time you go fishing, you ought not go fishing. Yes.
And why is this so important? Because we have, you're incapable of remembering the pain and suffering of the past. So all we remember is that he used to change how we felt.
Look, I'm going to tell you this real quick as I get to you. Some of us in this room are setting ourselves up for relapse right now because we want to. It's what we're going to do. We've already got it planned out. I can't go anywhere there's not drugs. I can't even go to the store where there's not stuff. Everywhere I go, it's going to be a trigger. Everywhere I go, I can't do, okay, all I can ever do is sit in the house. No.
Sometimes we probably need to stay in our lane, mind our own business. Because, hey, for real though, because like, before I came here, I rode with my sister to the Woodlands.
Yeah.
The Woodlands right outside Houston, that's supposed to be like up in the area, nice, rich. I promise you, I was sitting in that car. I'm already got, I'm going to use as soon as I get back. But I already knew what was happening just because I saw somebody holding up. They never got out their car. Somebody got out their car over there, went to their car, then went back to their car. And I say, well, that wasn't right. But if I had been minding my own business.
That's true. But the thing about it is, too, that, those old boys could have just been checking to see how the fishing was. We got to go real quick to get this done. So let's go real quick. These are some things we can do that's non-triggering events. Exercise. Exercise is a non-triggering event. Church activities, usually a non-triggering event. 12-step meetings should be a non-triggering event. Any new recreation or hobby, structured monitor periods, eating, sleeping, non-drug movies, all of these should be non-triggering event. What we're going to run into is protracted abstinence. What does that mean? That means I'm staying sober for a long time. This is where we are at protracted abstinence. What is wrong with protracted abstinence? What is it?
Dry time.
Dry time. Yeah, this is protracted abstinence. That means I am sober. That does not necessarily mean that I am in my recovery. Okay? Recovery and abstinence is different. If I am in abstinence, that means I'm just staying sober. I'm just like Mr. Sim said. When I go fishing, I'm going to find those people who are using. I'm going to see them. I'm going to notice them. I'm going to know that they are there.
So you take it the wrong way.
And I'm in the store. I'm going to know. Let me finish. When I'm in the store, I'm going to notice where the drugs and the alcohol are. When I'm driving down, just like you said, I'm going to know where the drugs are. If I'm abstinent, that's what I'm doing. But if I'm in my recovery, then I'm going to change my lifestyle. And if changing my lifestyle so that I can stay in my recovery means I don't fish anymore, then I don't fish. If it means I can't go fishing without running into somebody that's going to make me want to use, then I'm not going fishing. If I can't go to the store right now today, they will pick your groceries up for you. They will put them in a basket. They will bring them out to you. And you don't even have to go in the store. If I can't go in the store without being triggered, then I'm not in any kind of good, solid recovery. I should be able to go in the store go the right way. It's just like I should be able to go down at Cheddar's and go have a nice meal without being triggered because there's a bar right there. I don't go to the bar, I go this way. We went in Cheddar's the other day, and the young lady said, I have a seat for you, just follow me. And so she headed that way, and I said, wait, whoa. Well, that's the bar. She said, yes, we have an open table. I said, not in the bar. I don't eat in a bar. I'm not going to do that. She said, well, we have, so she had a table over here, but she wanted to fill that table up first. So she took it, and if, what would I have done if they said, well, this is the only table we have? I'm not eating there. We went into Twin Peaks. Y'all have been to Twin Peaks? Yeah. I went to Twin Peaks the other day this is probably a year ago. Never been to Twin Peaks before. Went into Twin Peaks, and that lady met us, and she took us to a table over there, and we sat down, and I'm looking around Twin Peaks. That ain't nothing but a bar. Yes, and the lady came. She brought us some water and stuff, and I said, no, man, we can't stay. I said, I didn't realize this was a stinking bar, so I thought it was a restaurant. It really looks like a nice restaurant outside, but it's a bar. So I didn't stay. We got up. We went out. Yeah. No, I don't go to Hooters. That's a bar. So protracted abstinence is not a good place to be because that's not in real recovery. I have to get at a place where I'm willing to change my life. Yeah. And see, that's why people in here, when we're looking at what we're going to do when we get out of here, how we're going to stay sober without changing our lifestyle, we ain't going to make it. Being an abstinent is just staying sober while not changing my lifestyle. Being in my recovery means I've changed my whole lifestyle. That's why I got to change everything. So, because one thing, if I'm in this protracted abstinence, I'm not going to be able to make it because of this thing right down here. How many people ever heard of PAW? So what's PAW? Post-acute withdrawal. And look, we talk about withdrawal not being fair. Yes, it is. We did that to ourselves. Post-acute withdrawal may not be fair because after we're in our recovery for a couple of days, a couple of minutes, sometimes it happens while we're still in here. We go through withdrawal, then we get out the other side of withdrawal, and we think we got it done. And then at some point, the withdrawal symptoms come back on us just as bad as they ever were. And we thought, this is going to last forever. I'm not going to make it. We lose a lot of people in that place. Some other people, though, this PAW won't hit them for 6 months. I won't hit them for 20 months. And so if you're an opioid user, then it may not hit you for 20 years. But it can still hit you. So we need to know that. The thing we need to know about PAW, it's temporary. It's going to last between 6 hours and 2 days, and it's going to be gone. Yeah. It's not going to. So we can live through that. We also need to know that exercise will help us a whole lot when we hit that wall. We think we're not going to make it, but exercise is going to help us a whole lot. And going back on to do what we're supposed to do. Now, here's one key concept I want us to get a hold of because we discuss this all the time before we quit. Relapse justification. We come up with a good excuse for bad behavior. Right. The rational part of the brain, your limbic system and your rational part of the brain attempts to provide a logical explanation for justifying behavior which moves you closer to the drug of choice. Right. Relapsing thoughts gain power when not openly recognized and discussed. Right. You need to call your sponsor and say, I want to use. A lot of things that we justify. Right. My wife used, so I'm going to use too. Now, I feel justified in using. I was doing fine until he brought it home. I went to the beach with my sister, and my brother came over for dinner and brought some, whatever. I wanted to see my friend just one more time. And he offered me some. We had a guy that was in here, incarcerated for 20 years, didn't use anything. Now, I know there's stuff in prison, but according to him, didn't use anything. He was out for like a day. He came in here, we were at the other place, went through treatment, got out, He was out one day, and his friend showed up with a case of beer, and he told him, I'm clean, all that. Okay. By the end of the day, he had drank a couple of beers with his friend, then went and got some cocaine, right back in treatment, got back out, made it probably 1 hour after he got out of treatment. Everything wonderful, Fazillo, everything, you people wonderful. Like, I gave you all everything I needed. This was just so wonderful. It said wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And when he got out, was out for about 1 hour and called back up here, iron kite. So we got to change our lifestyle.
You're right.
We got to change it.
That
So I was getting fat, so I needed to control my weight. I couldn't have the energy without it. I can't have a satisfactory sexual experience without the drug. Life is too boring without all sorts of things. We're going to come up with things. One of the other things that we don't need to do is like this guy that has the 4 years. I tell you, keeps going back to the bar. What's he doing? He's testing himself.
Right.
He also has a bottle of booze in his icebox. Testing himself every now and then. Now I know you don't believe it, but every now and then I look in there, just look at that bottle of booze, think how stupid it was that I used to do. He ain't gonna laugh. One of these days he's gonna grab that bottle of booze and he's gonna suck down about half of it. So I wanted to see my friends again, and I'm stronger now. No. So it wasn't my fault. It is always my fault.
Well, you're right.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. If I go you, it's on me.
You're right. You're right.
All right, folks. I appreciate y'all. Y'all did really good. You got a little argumentative.
I did.
But you did really well for the most of you.